Unforgettable stories out of Western Jamaica from the scrapbooks of Adrian Freighter. While murders have become commonplace in Western Jamaica over the past 20 to 30 years, especially in St. James, which has been recording in excess of 100 murders every year since the early 2000s, reaching as much as a dubious 245 in 2017. There have been instances where a murder has been so shocking that despite being desensitized by the numerous murders, one basically have to stop and ask, how could this be possible? What could have caused this? One such incident occurred in November 2016 when former national player Jeff Pearce, who had club football stints at Reno FC, Arnett Garden FC, Harmony FC, and Village United, alongside considerable exposure on the Corner League circuit in St. James, was implicated in the daylight gun murder of a pastor and a deacon in Montego Bay. What made that incident most unbelievable was the fact that pastors are often seen as off-limit when it comes to crime and violence, and footballers are usually seen as community heroes, not gangsters and criminals. While that incident rocked Montego Bay to its core, it was not the only incident in recent memory in which a pastor was killed. In a previous incident in 2010, the city was left in a daze when internationally renowned pastor, 81-year-old Wilbert Pinedo, was shot dead by gunmen as he conducted business at a commercial establishment on Barnett Street in downtown Montego Bay. Pinedo, whose global span reached as far away as Africa, and which includes several branches in the United States of America, was highly revered for his many years of devoted church service, especially by the members of his Montego Bay congregation. On a wider scale, it had many people asking, how could someone shoot someone of the stature of Pastor Pinedo in a place like Montego Bay where he was so highly revered? It is a sad day for the entire church community, not only for Montego Bay, and I extend condolences to his family at a time of grief. None of us is isolated from these acts of violence, said Pastor Conrad Pitkin of the Montego Bay-based Faith Temple Church of God. The incident also drew condemnation from officials at the United States Embassy in Kingston. There was another brazen incident in the Mount Carey community in 2008 when a Baptist pastor was attacked and shot in his face by gunmen. In that incident, which shocked and frightened the entire Jamaica, former president of the Jamaica Baptist Union, Reverend Dr. George Simpson, who was the pastor at the Mount Carey Baptist Church at the time, was attacked by two gunmen at his home who shot him multiple times and slashed and stabbed him with a knife. Luckily, he survived his wounds and made a full recovery. In this edition of Lest You Forget, I will be looking at the incident in which Reggae Boy Pearce was arrested and charged in connection with the gunslaying of Pastor Ryan Jackson and Deacon Buckler Smith of the First Truth International Apostolic Church. I will be recounting the incident from a story I wrote for the Gleaner, which was published on November 12, 2016 under the headline, Pastor Deacon Shot Dead Outside Hardware in Montego Bay. The story read as follows. A St. James pastor and his deacon were on Saturday evening shot dead by gunmen in Montego Bay. Pastor Ryan Jackson and Deacon Buckler Smith of the First Truth International Apostolic were murdered on Trinity Crescent about 6:30 p.m. A young boy who was traveling with them was unarmed. According to reports, the pastor and the deacon were preparing to leave a hardware on Barney Street where they had gone to purchase tiles for a church construction project when they were shot by two men who walked up to them and opened gunfire. A police unit which was passing by responded to the gunfire and confronted the men, who engaged them in a running gun battle which ended along Barnett View where one of the two men was shot and the firearm seized. When the injured man was taken to the Cornwall Regional Hospital, it was there that it was discovered that the injured man was Jeff Pearce, popular former national footballer from Trelawney. He was subsequently arrested and slapped with a double murder charge. As was expected, the news took the football fraternity in Western Jamaica by surprise, as while Pearce was known as a short-tempered player, nobody expected him to be involved in the killing of anyone, much less a pastor and a deacon. Following the killing, news surfaced that it might have been related to the infamous lottery scam, but it was never made clear how the pastor and the deacon were involved in the illicit scheme. However, in looking back at that incident which really shook Montego Bay, it was indeed one of those unforgettable stories out of Western Jamaica. Unforgettable stories out of Western Jamaica from the scrapbooks of Adrian Fruita. Before you go, please remember to subscribe.